All right, guys, the time is here. It's the pre-rut, it's the rut, it's November. It's go time. A lot of you guys haven't even stepped foot in the woods yet. You've been waiting for this special time of the year, and it's here. Maybe you got private land, maybe you're going on a hunt, maybe you're going to public land, going on a hunt. You want to be prepared and you want to have success. That's what it all comes down to. And if you want to have success, this is the time of the year in which you're most likely to get it done. Bucks are moving. Daylight walkers, they're spending a lot of time on their feet right now. So if there was ever a time to get lucky, this would be the time. So, you know, I'd rather be lucky than good. I'll never deny that, but there are certain tactics or at least mindsets or different strategies, different things that I do every November, every pre-rut, every rut to always get myself prepared. Okay. So now let's say you're going on that hunt. Let's say you're going on that public land hunt or private land hunt, and it's a little bit decent size, bigger to decent sized track. The number one thing that I'm going to recommend, and even, like I said, even for the private land hunters, the public land hunters, whoever you are in this scenario, in my opinion, this is the end all be all. This is the number one tactic, the number one tip that I would recommend. Be too aggressive. What does that mean? That's a loaded statement. Being too aggressive. So if there was ever a time of the year in which you can get away with murder, this is it. This is when you can push in there, be too aggressive, and still probably get another opportunity. Now, little do most people know that you can generally get away with that a lot more often than people think throughout the entire, rest of the year. And that's why I talk about certain strategies like the bump and dump, which is basically where you go and you find these deer, you go and you push them right out of their beds, and then you set up on them. A lot of times they will come back. You're not going to push them out of the county most times, unless that's, the fifth time you bumped them or even the third or something like that. But be too aggressive. So what does that mean? If you're that guy that's going on a trip, you're taking your five days off, your 4 days off, your 3 days off, put boots on the ground and don't hang a tree stand. Don't sit in a tree stand until you know what's going on. Give yourself a purpose during that sit. Okay. So what I mean is that when you finally pick that spot, all right, we're in the game here. I saw him, I saw his tracks, I saw his sign. Be too aggressive. Sitting on the fringes, guys, a lot of times is going to end up hurting you more than it is helping you. You can still get lucky this time of year. And like I said, I'd rather be lucky than good. But if you get in there and you get in the sign, you know where the deer are. The questions are answered. And if you've never been to this place, like I said, maybe you're trying an out-of-state trip. A lot of guys are doing that this time of year. They're going to a place they've never been before. Maybe they looked at aerials and things like that. And they're a little bit hesitant to go in and really fully get the full picture of what's going on in these areas. Go in there, get the full picture. Figure these places out so that you know when to go in there and hunt them on. Just take one day and just go blow it apart, because otherwise you don't ever know. And if you don't know, you can't properly set up on these deer. And a lot of times you don't find out what's going on these trips until, day 4, day 5, and then it's time to go home. And you are 1 day away from killing a deer. Well, if you go in there and you blow everything up, or you get over aggressive, you get too aggressive, which is what I'm recommending you do on these trips or anytime this time of year, because you can get away with it, because those bucks, their focus is on something else for the most part. The testosterone's rising. They want does, and that's all it comes down to. So this is the time of year you can get away with this. So go in there and figure it out is what it's coming down to. Be too aggressive. So how do you be too aggressive? Well, there's a couple different tactics and strategies that you can use. One is absolutely being mobile. Whether you're hunting on the ground, ghillie suit, mobile tree stands, things like that. I mean, those are things you don't want to limit yourself in any way. So if you're able to be mobile, obviously that's a huge, a huge top priority, I guess I would say, in my book. But the thing I'm really getting at is when I'm talking about being too aggressive, how do you get too aggressive? Well, you got to be able to find the sign. So what kind of sign are you looking for? The sign that I'm looking for this time of year, especially during that pre-rut phase and even into November a little bit, is the scrapes. Okay. I'm looking at the scrape lines and I'm following them back to a bedding area. I'm following, I want to make sense of why this scrape line's here, because a lot of guys will just pick a scrape and sit on it and hope for the best. And you can get lucky doing that, guys. But here's the thing that I would recommend. Have a rhyme or a reason. Always ask yourself, why? Why is this scrape here? And where's the scrape coming from, this scrape line? Where are they coming and going? Figure that out. Take that scrape line, take that trail in which that scrape line is on, and follow it back. Is it going to take you to bedding? Is it going to take you to food? Let's figure out the puzzle. Let's put the pieces together here. Same thing goes for those rub lines this time of year, guys. rubs are blowing up in the woods. They're everywhere. Bucks are laying down sign to the point where it's almost confusing because they're laying down so much. So just because you find it doesn't necessarily mean that you're in the honey hole. That buck could be a mile away by that point, you don't know. But at least you can put the pieces to the puzzle together. So when I say get too aggressive, that's what I'm talking about. Find the sign that leads you to the places that you have to be. Get on those downwind sides of bedding areas where bucks are going to be cruising, checking for does, checking for does that are coming into estrus. Follow that sign back to where, you know, these deer are, and you're going to figure it out. You're going to have a lot better chance of success. I've said it 3 times already. You could get lucky, but why not at least put the odds in your favor a little bit by figuring out what's actually going on in the woods and what the patterns might be. You know, sometimes there really isn't a pattern this time of year to a certain extent. The movement's a little bit more sporadic. The last thing that I like to do, or a tactic or strategy, the thing that I like to focus on is getting myself in the right mental state. If you're going on those hunts this time of year, guys, plan on something going wrong. Truly plan on it. Not that you're being negative, but plan on things not going perfectly. If you plan on that, you're mentally prepared for it. This time of year can be rough. The all-day sits, you know, just going out there morning after morning after morning, getting up super early, your long trek in, whatever it is, it's mentally exhausting. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself for the worst so that if the worst does happen, you're prepared. And if anything less happens, it's a good time. You want to go out there and enjoy yourself at the end of the day, guys. Mentally prepare yourself for what's to come, because if you get at it a little bit too early and you jump the gun, you get a little too aggressive like I tend to do, and I get in the woods, you know, in that mid-October time frame, and you really start busting it, you can wear yourself out. But the thing about the rut, the thing about the pre-rut, the thing about November, guys, is things can change on a dime. If you just put yourself in the game and you keep getting out there, don't take days off, eventually, maybe you get lucky. But if you put all these other pieces to the puzzle together that we talked about in this video, getting too aggressive, finding the sign, letting it take you to where the deer are, and ultimately mentally preparing yourself so that you have a good time and hopefully have success. If you put all those pieces to the puzzle together, guys, it's going to be a good November for you.